perfect design. Trey Parker, I thank you for being tolerant. I want to say, it's been communication and education for us. I was just talking about the wear map, and that was like, oh, I can see the picture, and I think the planet is trying to talk to us about the times we live in, and also the apex. Um, the reason that Earth has a relationship with the universe might be because of these pictures Mandelbrot. So that's what Hatch is representing. Of course, when we're talking about a financial mind, it's a completely different category, right? What I've realized, you guys, I really want to say 55 Putney is the ideal place that I'd like to start up my motion capture studio company pop tent online. But I have a new additional thing I'd like to say today, and I'm just going to make it real quick. Hopefully, this will be like a 15-minute presentation. Breathe the Mask XR is definitely one of those things. My plan is to present ideas on an episode, and then they go beta. There's like a forum where you can talk about it, and that product might actually get developed if people show enough support. But I want to talk about like a very more realistic. What I realized is that I'm detached from. Do I even have the audio working right now? I just heard the chimes. Like my computer's like phasing in and out. All right. So I thought that the Earth wanted me to talk about this parable relating to the Ware map, but when I talk to you guys about it, you start to get, distracted, and we want to keep it like only talk about financial reasons. Does the structure pay for itself? Yes, definitely. My company schedule pays for itself. I'm just using a generation and a reason of escape velocity on the degree of the environmental crisis and the pollution and the old mindset that says wait longer on the youthful expression. But here's the thing, Trey Parker owns a bunch of stuff. What I realized is this, you guys. While the entropy of 55 Putney is perfect for me because it has a sort of area that can be developed, like, oh, and building over here, because there are other building lots on that road that aren't even, they're not ready to go at any rate, but there's room for expansion. So ideally, what I would want is all these things that is like two steps beyond becoming a online company. So here's my new presentation for Trey Parker. It really is that I just need a performance space. And sort of the epiphany was like, well, it could be my apartment. But on the other hand, it's sort of like with Trey Parker, he's like, I actually have a building over here or here. And I'm saying, like, I could record anywhere in America and make my virtual reality startup. And Trey would say, aha, see, now this makes sense because when I've got all my resources and stuff, I might be able to just plug Hatch in someplace because that's actually ideal for me. It's sort of like if, like, okay, so here's my master source industry startup, a virtual reality amusement center with products as they become available and beta forums where we're talking about stuff. And this is the way I can present my solution for the CO2 and get people excited about that on beta and sort of see where that goes. It's a sort of communication levity. But also when I do get into a physical location, when I get a little bit bigger, it's also a place where online talent becomes a character where we workshop with them. They're an employee. They become a celebrity through our streaming service, etc., cranking through hundreds of thousands of people and enlivening the communication for an entire generation. So having like for me, 55 Putney is so perfect because I have this picturesque location where that's where we're filming the house, the building. That's where the story happens. These characters are working to make a company happen. Of course, I'm all the characters. Eventually, it becomes like a lot of other people start doing characters with me, but it's the sort of thing that I need to work with and discover. But it's a societal revolution of people. Um, the 55 Putney is so perfect because I need the little shooting place and then I need land where it's like, well, I'm really interested in investing in this property. So I'm making really good buildings and stuff and it's edging out over this way. But you know what I realized? It's like, I think that the timing is correct. It's incongruent on a path of curvature where I'm seeing like the taxation of Leverett. If I start with Leverett and I'm like, oh, I'm this guy in Leverett, Leverett's going to be like, but if I go around it this other way, so if Trey Parker is like, I actually have like because of our expansion recently, we have like this building in New York, and it's not being used, and we could really, I was thinking about getting into that equipment or whatever. Like, there's a million reasons away, but what I'm saying is like Trey Parker, my mind is expanded today because I was really looking and learning about real estate and also the numbers that they put on it, and also about, of course, the levitation of earning more income than you are spending, right? So I saw this thing in it, and I was like, oh, it's super practical. I'm really excited about finances, and I see my company as very lucrative. But because it's a virtual company, or rather, people can explore it through virtual reality. That means like foot traffic from around the world is going into, as soon as the Breathe Mask XR is available, that this is something people are, customizing and shopping online with it and stuff. And I think it's important to, when we have like new ideas, for it to be presented in a new way. So my virtual company startup basically means that I could be performing from anywhere in America as my startup, and it goes beta like this. So with Trey Parker, with his inventory, I'm asking you, Trey, do you have anything for me? Is there anywhere in America that you would produce my show? I'll be the performing director artist, and then opening up my Springtrap online thing. And then basically you can kind of sort of retrofit to a location. So if my company gets established online, and then I start moving into Leverett and gobbling that up. Honestly, I do love that location. It's just like fettered with like malformed ideas, either from all sides. It's just like I do want to be romantic. I do want to have a discovery process. Like, oh, there are multiple master source industries. We had a location here. Well, oh, here's what I was thinking. This is what Trey, this is what really gave me inspiration last night. Is I thought, if I do it this way, like I'm sure Trey has like a warehouse over here or something like, and you could use that, and then I could really optimize that. Okay, and let's go with that. I'm saying yes. What I had this epiphany is like, well, if my show is entirely virtual, and I'm like, hey guys, I'm Master Source, and I'm looking for this. I was thinking, what if, like, if I get into a place where I'm able to, like, I'm CEO of Master Source Industries, and I have this ability to spend millions because of different curvatures, right? Maybe it's not fair for me to go up to Trey and say, hey, the startup cost for my cartoon is only, 3 million. He's like, oh, okay. Well, it is actually a pretty good budget. I don't know. I think it's good. I would love to go that route, but it's just in the mind. I think it's too powerful because it's actually plugging in the Christmas tree of the Ware map and correlation between the Mandelbrot and the Alma Cape Cod and the Leverett Center, right? So that's why that was so beyond the capacity of the human anyway. But in a not like what I so I started looking at real estate, and real estate was all like education, and I was like, oh, I see. It's like this whole curvature about the money and financing, because of like, it's not when if the cost of a building is too much, wouldn't want to turn it into a rental facility, because you won't even pay off that thing in the lifetime of you operating it. It's like this incredible snowball effect of financing, and it's renting out a couple of rooms is not the answer in every situation. So I became really into, oh, this is so cool, like, of course that crunches it, so it has to be this sort of thing. Super cool. So that's why I felt Leverett was perfect, because I just need a little filming location, and that with the potential of expanding. But I realized that if I tackle the Leverett location with a couple $1 million in my like breathing space, because well, the Breathe the Mask XR took off, yeah, and I was suddenly going like, "Wonk," and I'm like, that's the thing. That's how I would like to approach Leverett, is with this overhead where I'm like, immediately start building this and this, and we're going to and then basically I'm going to approach the town about building a downtown center. that embraces that top of the lake, turns it into a wonderful. And then behind that, there's like a walking, just an amazing, like a couple level of really benign, area, just shopping and like food and stuff. But I mean, to develop that area is really, but it's such an adult curvature. It's just like, well, yeah, that sounds great. We're it's like what I realize is like if I jumpstart and begin with Leverett, I think it might get taxated in a way, and people are like, we don't want a downtown center, we don't want that. Oh, okay. Like because I started learning from the language of real estate and how much buildings cost and what you could do with that building, right? And it's interesting because I do want to do something unique with the building, motion capture studio, and it's a sort of it becomes this thing where I'm working with new talent and I'm developing celebrity images, helping them get connected to their Patreon. And well, of course, they can do that themselves, but my department sort of gives them this thing and a head start. And they have a couple pilots where they're all, "Ooh," and they're just doing whatever. We have these sort of seances where I work with we develop a new world and avatars, and all my people get together. And we have like a turnaround of people who are like, they're with us for a month and they're looking around and they're working on their career. So there's this thing there, and then we matriculate, the block of people that we want to work with, right? But it's a different social energy, the virtual shopping area. So that's a real pusher. Like, what's expensive about Hatch's cartoon show communication startup? A virtual reality. Well, that's not terribly expensive. That's what's exciting here. Additionally, I'm thinking I'm seeing the Zen where if Trey just has a location anywhere in America that I can motion capture film, then I can get my start there and matriculate in a way that's natural for everyone. Just sort of lines all up. But each of my episodes presents a new idea, and then it goes beta forums. So when I'm talking about solutions for the CO2, I can get really excited. And the Breathe Mask XR, although it's like a pretty advanced face mask, right? It doesn't abscond your face. It doesn't, all these other things. But I know it's like a little bit of it's a big thing. Um, but I think that like that's how we really escape the upsets of 2021. Like it's a sad time, and we need to do something a little bit different, drastic to help that. And I'm saying I definitely can start my company with just communication. People are gonna love it. We don't need to go buy this house so that he can go intense and all this. Like, I don't know. I guess I sold it the wrong way. I don't know. It's just like determined the images and all this, like what I feel I was returning to. So I'm asking you, Trey, can you produce me? Do you have anything for me? Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your time and energy. It's because of the Wear map that I felt I was supposed to be talking about the things that only I know about. But it's ended up not being as interesting to you guys, or maybe it is. I just don't know. But I know that this looks like the animal mask on the goddess, and we are all hoping that the pandemic sort of subsides and goes away on its own. But there's a possibility that it doesn't, which is why in my presentation, that's why it works because the things goes beta. I mean, it becomes essentially we're talking about it. Do we want this? When do we want it? And if something pressurized happens, like something bad, like oh, that's the delta plus and also something else. Okay, I don't know. It's just that thing is a weapon, and it's terrible. So it's like planning ahead. But then, are there actually products available? Yes, yes, absolutely. There are real products, and I'm actually really interested in my canning ozone idea. I think if if people got like excited about it as a movement, it might actually change the fire patterns of next year by selling people canned ozone because what they're what they're really paying for is a factory that is just pumping ozone straight into the sky. Like, oh, we developed a company that makes ozone, but people are supporting it by purchasing cans of ozone. and the company runs to the tilt of what it can afford to do, but that's its own independent LLC, all kept within Mastros Industries. So, like I said, this would be like a beta concept canned ozone. Are people into it? Don't be, it's amazing. But pound for pound, people purchasing this thing and whether they keep it on their shelf as a keepsake or I think that'd be the faux pas. It's like, oh, you gotta crack that thing, don't leave it on the shelf. It'd be a whole thing. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is like this might be an older man's task to be like, "Arr, brr, 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 brr," like wow, you like turning those islands into a downtown center for Leverett. I think that's a great idea, but it really is. It's like a project for a man in his 50s. It's like, oh my gosh. So when we're right now, Hatch just needs to be kind of supported as a performer, and we need that virtual startup to happen, Mastros Industries. And I apologize, you guys, because I was trying to go the length of rebuilding the silver lining of Junk DNA by explaining the picture sequence from the Ware map and just a lot of wielding of English that is not generally support. Of course, Hatch is the only scientist speaking in this way. He's the only one telling these different things. And I just had the crash course from learning about finances and stuff and I do really like this location is so perfect for me because it's where I want to record. It's where I want to develop, right? But I had an epiphany, and I realized, well, the industry has something to say as well. And finances, I love how brutal the USD is, and how final it is. It's mathematical. Hey, you have to have, you have to be earning more money than you're spending, and that's it. And I'm like, that's awesome. And so what I'm realizing, I was trying to complete with the Ware map and just be like, well, if we bridge through here, and then that really sets me up for a lifetime where I'm just working and developing. But there's something else to be said about the communication, about humanity and languages that they operate on with the USD. So I'm thinking like producing Hatch, um, and like I get into places where I'm using English in a different way, and I'm sorry that like I'm trying to talk about how do we defeat through time? How do we maintain our residency? How do we understand what Earth is saying with with 2021? Does it relate to the future of Earth? I think in ways it does, and that's why at length I'm passionate to perform and talk about these things because I think it's something curative about us just talking about it in society. So it's been a very constructive conversation, but I'd like to greenlight this project. I'd like to get Hatch into a place where he's performing and recording and working on that virtual company startup. But his performance space, it could be anywhere in America. I'm hoping that Trey Parker's like, I'm expanding and I would like you to be like a carekeeper of this. There's a warehouse over here. I'm expanding over there. And like you could be doing the motion capture while it's being a little guard dog for me in that building because I'm cleaning that up. You could conduct things for me as a job. I'd be like, "Oh, that is perfect. That is absolutely perfect." I'm not looking for an unnatural USD. My feeling was like, you guys, this is going to spring trap and make lots of money. This isn't some errand, this is some weird thing. Yeah, but it's land acquisition on someone who it doesn't have their house for sale. So, and you're right, you're right. There's like Halloween cobwebs on it, and like, so I'm like, well, okay, and I step back from it and I'm like, you know what? Because I'm really interested in conquering Leverett. I'm interested in developing that area, but that's sort of a professional thing in my pocket where that's for me when I'm on like the second or third step of my company. Oh, I had this epiphany. I want to tell you, and I'm just about to. So let me just narrow it down. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Like you know, communication. All right. Welcome to Master Host Industries, my virtual reality online shush achieved. I definitely Master Host Industries is part of my entity, and it's really important to me, you guys. All right. So I had this epiphany if I go through the course of Trey Parker being like, okay, I have something, or you could do this, and then okay, good luck with your virtual online. And I'm not saying that you guys are anything but supportive. You guys are great. I love you guys. All right. What I realized is that through the communication, I could talk to all America and ask for. I would basically explain to people because here's another thing. When I look at Zillow or LoopNet, these are buildings that basically are not that basically are sitting there like no one wants them. Like there's kind of the shakes. Like obviously, when you're looking for a house or whatever, you have to pay attention to the market, and it can take like a year for you to find the one that oh I have to have this one. This is spoke to me and it's love, you know. But when you look around, it's really the you know kind of the shacky, shaky, shitty places that are for sale, and just sitting there for 100 days, being like, no one wants this. Maybe you do. Meow. You know, it's just like what? Because okay, so well, here's the point: is like I start getting to a place where like I'd rather build my own huge place because they're like, oh, this factory building, and it's like 5 million, and you look in it, it's just like everything needs work. It's all disheveled. It's crap but it's industrial and zoned. Like half of the work is already done for you. Then why does nobody want it? Like it's sitting here for years, you know. Like I'm like, wait, if I'm gonna be building my own, like for $1 million, you can just have brand new equipment, and oh, it's exactly what you wanted it to be. It's exactly in the shape that you needed it to be to make all that happen. And I've got lots of ideas about like, well, this type of center, okay, for example, like a looped, you know, with the fans going up, like so you can fly. It's a race course where you can fly because it's all fans of the thing. But so like building like a yeah, having a racetrack where you can actually fly. Of course, we can. This is actually just an American raceway where it's just like oh, you put on like your wing jacket and you jump out and you can fly for as long as you want in the circle and it's like and there's little places you can land and like get some food or something and then you can go back out so yeah it's like this a race course where people are just flying and there's little like soft obstacles you can like fly through a hoop or something and there could be games or something but we could do motion capture I just thought like uh you know to film people flying at length you know, or using as a mode of transportation. Okay, all right, sorry. I mean, that's in the future for me about like what I want to see people doing just for the experience, you know. All right. Oh, oh, what was I saying? Oh, the epiphany. Oh, so I've got have a like a virtual presentation, Master Source Industries, and I'm like, hey, everyone in America, like, I am looking for the new location for Master Source Industries. And I'm looking for something where there's a river, maybe the potential for hydroelectric harnessing. I'm looking for the resource of like maybe something beautiful, eclectic, like a brick factory, but we can also expand and build on this. I'm looking for something that has a nature and a story of its own. And I think there are like I hope to like this is what I'm trying to say. Is if I have a virtual company, what I can do is ask everyone in America, is there like an amazing place and we can actually have some drawings and like, or like, visions of what we're talking about building and stuff, or just like an old mall that recently went for sale. And I think like a county or a fan or this or that might actually like take a photograph of, oh, this mall just went for sale. Is this what you're looking for? And I was thinking like this might actually be the better way to find the location because things that do become available on like this real estate is for sale. It's just like for whatever reason, everyone just doesn't want this building. They don't want this location. It's not like an abandoned roundhouse that was then repurposed as a theater. And then, well, after it was a theater, you know, but for me, it'd be like, oh, you get in there and you're like, oh, dang, like you can still see the old rail tracks, and, but then also, you know, and that I so I was almost thinking like I think that Master Source Industries could have multiple romantic locations which I kind of work on, and then it becomes popularized, and then it transforms into like a seedling of a super city where people have affordable housing, but also like a type of employment through the streaming service. It's like we're creating these social arenas that become also like a narrative on a channel of my streaming service. And then we would have like a franchise of like multiple really amazing, beautiful images, majestic areas. But also we get to a point where, yeah, and that's the thing is that I want to get into that developing, but is right now where I'm at is all communication based. I get, it's only the maps, the where map correlating back to Leverett, and I'm like, you guys, if we do this, I think it's spring traps like that. But I also see a thing where it can get congested by of the amount of how much do we want to push on Masters Industries. I'm saying if it's virtual, and then I go, oh, we're looking for location, and then people are like, oh, ding ding, like I think like just fans would be like, oh, we photographed this. This is an old brick. It like they're talking about like oh, it's no one wants it. They took a picture, ka-ching. Oh, it's this old like steel mill. Oh my gosh, and it has all these different things, and then right next to it, this little beautiful downtown, and oh gosh, so that type of story, that type of life, I don't, I think that might even be better than me working from a studio spot. So I'm saying, I'm here. I'm saying, Trey, what do you have for me as far as would you produce my show in a way that you're comfortable with anywhere in America? I just need the equipment. I'll get to work. I'll start building my virtual thing. And then when that gets big, and I'm going beta already with the Breather Mask XR and with the CO2 solutions, we're talking about that. We're doing competitive combat against the environment crisis. It really, raises people up. Thank you, Trey Parker. Thank you so much. Thank you. Like, I had this huge epiphany about how finances work in real estate. And I started thinking about the timing belt. I mean, the lever area has everything I want as far as like, it immediately has a nucleus, and it's the most powerful nucleus I can find. There's no other little crappy ass house that I would dare say was, oh, that's the right place for, because this thing would overclock the situation. Like Earth True and I would basically solve with our season one. And this is the Where map. This is where we're talking about those images in the Arm of Cape Cod. All right. How are we doing on time? Are the audio's working? I'm hearing like the my computer's going diddle diddling diddle like it's disconnecting and reconnecting. All right, I apologize. I hope that the sound is working. Okay. So nothing incongruent here. I'm just saying like I see a powerful strand here, but it's veiled in illusion, as to say, but it isn't the trial of man's alignment with Earth. It'd be wonderful for you guys to understand there's some mystical property of Earth beyond USD. USD is a fun way of speaking, but I'm seeing even like there are really good opportunities for me in Leverett after if I get produced through like just a recording studio that Trey might have already in his portfolio. So I'm here just saying that. I'm saying Trey, absolutely. Uh, Please help me find uh my first episode. Let's go pilot. Let's make a pilot and go beta. Thank you guys so much. Please greenlight this. It's important for 2021 for us to have a revolution. Um, Thank you guys. I do have solutions for the wildfires, the heat wave. I can solve it. It's an emotional thing. It needs to happen with a community, and the solutions are Y chromosomal shapes, as compared to the problem with a doctored COVID-19. There's not easy solutions to that shape, but there are easy solutions to the CO2. right? So that's why the CO2 is like a thermostat. We need to just harness it with our intelligence as men. Um, but also, it's an enlightened prerogative. Why do this thing for the environment? We need to also be like, oh, I'm okay with us being in a challenging generation. 2021's kicking everyone's ass. Hatch is being very social, talking about USD, and he's saying, what do you have for me anywhere in America? Just let me record my show. Let's get this stuff so that we're talking on, so that my company can go beta with people talking. Are they interested in the Breathe the Mask XR? Are they interested in the solutions for CO2? Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you. Love. Armor up. Wizard Circle. Everyone's being respected here. It is good.